Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guest today is Amy Larson. She's the co-founder and chief marketing officer at Loftii. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. It's great to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. Now, Loftii is doing something that really seems kind of magical. You've set up a way to allow people to give without actually giving, so that a charity can receive a donation without someone actually making a donation, which sounds like magic. How does that work?
Yeah, so the way that it works, we partner with retailers. If you think about very large retail corporations like Walmart, they are already donating millions of dollars to charity. One of the challenges is that they're donating to the charities that they think their customers are passionate about and that they as an organization are passionate about. So Walmart tends to donate a lot towards environmental causes. I think one of the challenges with that is that consumers don't really have a control over where that donation goes. So as a consumer, I might be passionate about animals or about cancer research or something like that. And if I can't, kind of have an influence on where that donation goes, it's a little bit frustrating to me as a customer. And so the way Loftii works, we're essentially a browser extension that once you install it, as you browse, we've worked with retailers to make a donation to the cause that you choose. So you go to our website, you set up an account, you select the cause that you're passionate about, and then as you shop around, we've got 700 great retailers participating so far, and we're adding quite a few every month. As you shop, you essentially just click a button to tell them, here's where I want my donation to go, and it can be really whatever thing it is that you are passionate about.
And Amazon is on your list, right?
Amazon started on our list. Amazon is not on our list anymore. They have their own program called Amazon Smile. And there were a couple challenges that we ran into, a lot of confusion about what the difference was between Amazon Smile and Loftii. And so right now, Amazon is not on our list, but there are a lot of other really great retailers, Walmart, Target, Nordstrom, Groupon, even like Marriott, Hilton, a lot of places that you don't typically think about as places of commerce, but places where you transact online. Any place where you make that transaction, that's really the vision. Anytime you spend money, we want a portion of that money to be going to fund something that makes the world a better place.
Yeah, I have seen that since I installed the app, that a few of the places where I was already spending money on a sort of an automatic recurring basis, Loftii now appears to be collecting a little bit for my favorite charity. So does seem to be working. It's very exciting to see.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and we're really excited about the potential impact that it could have. I mean, if you think about the amount of commerce that happens online, it's over $350 billion, and just to get a little bit of that going towards something to cancer research or to eradicating extreme poverty. I mean, there are so many great causes out there. And so just being able to have just a small percentage of that donated would have a massive impact on the world.
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's just consider for a minute, tell me a little bit about how this all came together. What was the nexus for the idea? Tell us a little bit about the founding story.
Yeah, so it came about 2.5 years ago. I heard of an organization called Operation Underground Railroad, and what they do is they really they're trying to rescue all humans from human trafficking rings, but their focus is really on children. And there's an estimated 2 million children who are in these awful situations right now. And I heard about that, and I guess maybe in the back of my mind I knew that this horrible thing was happening, but I'd never really thought about it. But I heard about this person who'd founded this nonprofit, and it really struck me. I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, and as I looked at them that night after I'd heard about this, it just broke my heart to think about these kids and these parents that are in this just awful situation. And so I signed up to be a monthly donor, but at that point, that was kind of the end of it. Like the only time I really thought about it was when I would get my monthly credit card statement and I would see my small donation. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit to think that, I mean, these kids are living this horrific nightmare every day, and I'm donating such a small amount and only thinking about it every month. Like that shouldn't be the way that it is. I wanted to do more. And so I was trying to think of a way that I could do something more, but also not limit it to just me, because I know even with my small amount that I donate every month, that's not really going to make a dent with those 2 million children. So what can I do to do more and really harness the power of the masses? I mean, as individuals, we are limited in our impact, but once you get kind of this massive force, we can really be an unstoppable force for good, and that's what I wanted to enable. And so when I was thinking about it for Operation Underground Railroad, I was talking to other people, and everyone has a similar story about something else that they're passionate about. Someone whose mom died of breast cancer, or someone who loves animals and really wants to make sure that animals are treated humanely. And so that was kind of the impetus for the idea, and the business was, okay, let's not dictate to people what they should be passionate about. Instead, let's give them a platform where whatever it is they're passionate about, they can support that, and it's more integrated into their daily lives. I mean, for me, supporting Operation Underground Railroad, now every time I shop at one of these supporting retailers, there's that little reminder, and it just makes me that much more of an advocate for them, and makes it more integrated into my life.
Yeah, that's a great story. We've had Tim on the show, and they're doing tremendous work trying to rescue kids, and so I think it's a really great founding story. I mean, what great motivation to do this. So I commend you for that. Now, the business is very young. You only really got to work on this in April, right?
Yes, it's very, very young. We're trying to move very quickly and trying to create a really great experience. It's a fine balance. We want to be integrated in people's lives, but we also want to be not obtrusive in any way. And so we've really been spending a lot of time trying to make sure that experience is something that kind of provides you that reminder of that cause that you're so passionate about, but at the same time is really, really easy, so that there's no reason that you would not want to participate.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I want to just tap into some of your personal insights while I've got you. You really are a role model to a lot of people. You've been very successful as an entrepreneur in past experiences. You're doing something very cool now. I'm sure there are a lot of people who look up to you, but who do you look up to as a role model?
I feel very grateful that I've had so many great teachers and mentors in my life. It's really hard to narrow it down to just one person that I really admire, but someone who really comes to mind is my stepdad. His name's Danny Johnson. I call him Uncle Danny. And he has been a part of my life pretty much my entire life. When I was very young, he was my dad's cousin and his best friend, and he was really a part of our life. He was, the single uncle with a well-paying job who just spoiled us, me and my siblings like crazy. And then we went on a snowmobiling trip, my entire family and my Uncle Danny. Unfortunately, on that trip, my dad wrecked on his snowmobile, and he was killed in that accident. And about a year later, my mom, and it was a little over a year, my mom and Uncle Danny made the decision to get married. And I was young, I was in junior high at the time, and I didn't really understand kind of the sacrifice that he was making to do that. If you think about the role that he had as, this adored and revered uncle who he had the best role, right? He had all the fun. He never had to discipline, and he didn't have to play kind of the hard role that a parent has to play. And he could have stayed in that role and been that person in all of our lives. But I think he knew that we needed, that what we needed was different than what he may have wanted. And I think he knew that as teenagers who'd gone through this experience, that we would probably all hate him for it at one point, you know. But I think he knew that that role was something that we really needed, and he wanted to make sure that we were taken care of. And so that just that lesson of selfless sacrifice, you know, that love of for us, and just wanting to do what was right, even if it wasn't what was easy. That you know, I have so much admiration for him. And then just the lessons that he has taught me throughout my life. He had a farm, and he didn't treat me any different than my brothers because I was a girl, you know. He expected me to, he taught me how to weld. He, you know, expected me to drive tractor and go haul hay and do everything that my brothers did. And I think that really helped me, you know, as I got into business. There was a lot of talk about, you know, the glass ceiling and, you know, being in a male-dominant culture or a male-dominant company. And for me, it was kind of like, what? Really? Like, you know, I never thought of myself as a woman and other people as men or anything else. It's just we're all here and we're all trying to do a good job. And so there's, sorry, I'm rambling at this point, but there's so many great things that I have learned from him, and I have such a tremendous amount of admiration for him.
That's great. I really appreciate you sharing such a personal story and the powerful insights that brings. As you think about why you're doing Loftii, I think I tether that back to your connection with Operation Underground Railroad. But I want to dig just a layer deeper to try to understand why you felt so personally responsible for doing something. Most people would have felt good enough about signing up to be kind of on the monthly donor program. Why did you feel it was so important to do so much more than that?
Yeah, I think it comes from being a mom, and you know, any parent, I think, knows what it's like to look into the innocent face of a child and feel the responsibility to protect that innocence and help them mature in, you know, the best way possible. And you always want to do more for your kids than, you know, you want to provide better for them than even you were provided for, even if you had a very great life, you know. And so they really were, my daughter is 7 years old. She was 5 years old at the time when I first heard about Operation Underground Railroad. And it was really just, you know, looking into her sweet, innocent face and just the heartbreak. I can't imagine what those parents go through, and what those poor kids go through. And so, you know, that it just really hit me in a way that most things have not impacted me. And so I do feel compelled to do something. It's beyond just, you know, kind of a desire. It's really this, I do feel compelled to do more. I want to do more. I want to be able to help save these children.
Well, that's great. And I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing. Amy, I wonder, we ask all of our guests for an impact hack, some tip that would help us to do more good in the world. What's your impact hack?
I think for me, I did an exercise 7 or 8 years ago that really helped me understand what my priorities were. I made a list of everything that was important to me, and it wasn't just kind of at the surface level, my family, my job, you know, religion, community, whatever. I tried to get very deep into, you know, is it a feeling of success? Is it a feeling of camaraderie? Is it a feeling of being loved? Or, you know, like try to get at something that's a little bit deeper. And, you know, I ended up with a list of probably 50 different things that were important to me. And then I forced myself to narrow it down to 5. And then I forced myself to narrow it down to 3. So I really had 3 things that were the most important things to me in my life. And then I tried to structure my life around those 3 things. One of them is my kids and making sure that I spend time, the appropriate amount of time, and good quality time, not just, you know, we're all sitting on the couch watching TV together. but we're engaged in an activity that is developing relationships and helping them, mature and grow in the right way. And so one of the things that I do, I make sure I am home by 5:30 every night so that I can eat dinner with my kids. And I plan my life around that. And obviously there are times when that can't happen, but I would say 95% of the time that happens because that's sacred time for me. So I make sure it happens. And so I think that's it. It's not necessarily, the same for everyone, but I think just if people figure out what is the most important thing for you personally, what motivates you, what is it that is going to keep you going throughout a very long day? I mean, I'll eat dinner with my kids, I'll get them to bed, and then very often I get back on the computer and have to do work at home, and that's fine because I've had that moment of time to really kind of energize myself because I was able to spend it doing the thing that matters most to me.
Well, fantastic. Well, we sure appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, Amy. And before you go, I wonder if you would just tell people how they can learn more about Loftii and connect with you personally.
Yes, so I would love for you to visit our website at loftii.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter at BeLoftii. And then for me personally, LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect. Amy Larson, so just LinkedIn/Amy Larson, you should be able to connect with me.
Fantastic. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being with us today. We wish you every success in building Loftii.
Thank you, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.